All right, welcome back to the Financial Logistician. I am your host, All Nighter Hider, and today I'm coming to you all decked out because I train like I hunt. Shout out to privileged bow hunter. I wanted to talk about honesty. I mentioned that in a previous video about archery and honesty, which may have to be another channel. Archery and honesty. ANH, I think it has a good ring to it. We'll see. We'll see if I start a whole nother channel about archery and honesty. We'll see if that's a big enough topic. So, archery. I shoot a compound bow. I do a little bit of hunting, but not a whole lot. I do a lot more training than I do hunting. I want to be the best hunter I can, so I want to train as hard as I can. What I do is I have a shot process. When I go to shoot my bow, I don't just knock an arrow, pull back, and just let her fly. There's a whole mental process that has to go along with the physical process of shooting this bow. This is a little uncomfortable to film since I'm leaning forward. Camera's a little low. I am using a tripod this time. This is pretty cool, actually. So there is a mental and a physical process to shooting this bow. I've got to get my stance right, my hips, how they align with the target. It doesn't have to be perfect because I am a hunter, so situation's going to call for different things. But generally, I want to get my stance right. I want to get my grip on the bow correct. As I grip, let me get it for you. As I grip this thing, I have just a little bit of grip tape on the back and no grip to it. And in fact, it's just straight to the what's called the riser of the bow. As I grip this thing, I want to be in such a way that, let's not cut my head off, that I'm not torquing this thing. I'm not putting any undue, there's the camera, any undue pressure onto the bow that's going to impart any impartiality from me. I want to be out of the picture as much as possible, because the bow will do its mechanical thing as consistently as possible. I'm the inconsistent one, so I want to minimize my inconsistencies. I do that by getting a consistent grip and making sure that my pressure is consistent. I do my stance, my grip. When I draw back, I draw and I start to get the alignment of the sights. I have what's on here, this little peep sight. I pull back to my face, I get my anchor. That's my next thing. So I get my anchor and I put my hand back into the same spot because consistency is key. Put my hand back into the same spot, I anchor up, and I then align my vision, my dominant eye, through the peep sight and then through the sight on the bow. All of that's got to be consistent. What I do then is I drop my shoulders and get my frame nice and set so that as I'm holding this weight, my body, my bones are doing most of the holding and not the muscles, because my muscles will fatigue and that's going to create an inconsistency. So I want to use the most consistent part of my body, being the structure, my frame. I then, what do I do then? I then align the peep, make sure my level is nice and leveled, if you can see the level on there. I have, hey look, I'm doing the trick that everyone else does with the hand. I then have these pins on here. Now I want to put the correct pin on the correct target per yardage, so per the distance I'm shooting. As I'm shooting these pins, I like the longest distance I can shoot, which is 35 yards here in my backyard, my parents' backyard. 35 yards. It's a pretty decent yardage, quite honestly. It's the farthest I can get, so it's the most honest I can be. With these pins, I only have 3 on here. With these pins, 35 is right in between the bottom one and the middle one. So I'm doing what's called pin floating. I love it because I can really see the target, but I have to estimate exactly where the arrow is going to go. So that's what I do. Here's the shots that I just did. I know this is like more of an archery video than anything. I started up here that is my first cold shot. And if you can see, it's right above. It's touching the tape, which is 1.5 inch tape. At 35 yards, I should be shooting a 3.5 inch group. About a fist size. That's only 1.5 inches, so I'm happy with that. My second one was this guy, and I just misaligned the peep, and so I dropped that shot. I think that's what it was, right? I think I just broke the shot low. Whatever, that was my fault, and I knew it when I broke the shot. This was the third shot, which was obviously just about the same as the first one, so I was consistent with that. This was third shot, and I was inconsistent with that one because I torqued the bow with my grip. So I pulled it to the left, which is to the right on the camera, but it's to the left in reality. And then the last shot, where I was the most fatigued, was again consistent with 3 and 1. This is difficult to do. So I'm bringing all this up because of the honesty factor. If I am not honest with myself in that shot process that I have to mentally go through, my stance, my grip, my draw, my anchor, my level, my sight alignment, my grip, my grip. I go back to my grip. I have to relax my hand so that I'm not using any of those muscles. So I've got to mentally relax my hand as it's holding back as I'm drawing. It's a 70-pound bow. Not sure how that works. There's a let off. So with these cams, I'll pull it up again here. These cams, as they rotate, as the bowstring gets pulled, these things rotate, and with the geometry of them, they let off a bunch of the weight, 80%. So I'm shooting 60 pounds. They let off 80% of that, so what I'm holding like 12 pounds or something like that. I don't know what the math is. Don't ask me to do math. Stop asking me hard questions. It's something like 12 pounds. But that 12 pounds is still pulling back on my hand, and I've got to keep it so relaxed. I've got to mentally just isolate my hand and relax it. Meanwhile, I'm trying to relax my arm, but still use a little bit of muscle to keep it in place. It's a trip. So I'm loving this archery thing, the mental aspect and the honesty aspect. Again, the honesty, I've got to go through that rep of the shot process and be honest with myself in every single aspect of it. I've got to check each box and keep it checked. I can uncheck the box. You know what I mean? Like I can do my mental rep of my grip, but then if I go to my next box, I tense up my hand, I'm going to screw something up. I'm going to add torque to that bow, and it's going to be inconsistent. My shot's going to go wherever it goes. This is the honesty factor that is applied every single shot. And another thing with this archery thing, I'm just in my parents' backyard. I can pick up the bow, and in 5 minutes I'm shooting. And I can shoot for hours. I don't normally shoot for hours because I have more stuff to do, but I can shoot for a long time really fast. This is not, I don't have to go traveling an hour's distance and go to the range or something. This is immediate gratification, if you would. Immediate practice. So it's very easy for me to do. The honesty though, every single shot, I have to be honest and check each one of those boxes every single shot. The arrow will show. One of these, I think it was, one of these was parachuting. So as the arrow's flying, I can see, that's another thing I love about archery, is I can see the trajectory of the arrow. I can see the arc of it. These 3 good shots were just pinwheeling. So the arrow was just going straight as, it was awesome. The other 2 that I missed were kind of parachuting. So the fletchings in the back were catching the wind, and the front was kind of going straight, but the back was parachuting, and it's just not very accurate, and it's not good for hunting because that will impede the energy of that arrow penetrating that animal in an ethical way. If it's going all around, it doesn't have all that same kinetic energy to to punch through that animal and kill it in an ethical way, to hit those vitals. It's less accurate to hit the vitals, and it has less energy to go through those vitals and make the cuts that are required to kill an animal quickly, like within seconds. What else? What else is there? When I purchase the trigger on my release, so when I knock an arrow, I don't use my hand to pull the string back. I use this D loop here. So I get the release on the D loop there, and as I'm going to pull the trigger, I do not want to punch this thing. I do not want to have my finger way out here and do something like that. I want to actually get a good purchase on this thing. And I want to feel that thing. I want to get a good feel for it. And when I decide, I actually do command the shot. When I decide, then I just pull back a little bit more, and there goes the shot. So I've got to be honest with every single thing that I'm doing, because I am the inconsistency. In every single shot, I am the one that's going to be inconsistent. So I want to minimize that inconsistency by minimizing myself, by being as consistent as possible. I be as consistent as possible by being as honest with myself as possible. That goes along with the investing part. You've got to be honest with yourself, to know thyself, to know what you're good at, to know what you don't want to do, to know what path you're going to take to be a better investor and actually make some gains and better your future. Archery will actually help you do that. I kid you not. This is amazing. The correlation is absolutely amazing. And as I'm watching more archery on YouTube, I'm starting to get involved with more of the archery community, like even across the rest of the country. Simon and Jack just had a video. They did an interview, and they were talking about me and how I do these kinds of things. And it does come completely natural. Just completely natural. Just to leave comments and make them a little bit smart ass, or just a little different to grab the attention of the content creator. I don't want to have an average comment. I want them to see it and force a little bit of thought, whether it's a good positive thought, a thought-provoking, whatever. I just want to be a little different. So I've been doing that and reaching out to guys, like I said, Privileged Bow Hunter, Bow Disciples. He's a local boy here, James Visser here in San Diego. There's Elk Shape is another good one. Dan Staten. He's in Spokane, Washington now. There's MFJJ. There's a bunch of them. I'll see if I can link their channels. Yeah, I'll do that. Anyways, this video is getting up there in time. I'm also finding out this is the best time for me to film, is kind of late morning. I'll get up and I'll do the daily financial news, and then generally Mark the Financial Firefighter will go live, and I'll moderate for him. After that, before Simon goes live, this is my time to film. So I'm learning that. Yeah, that's it. Check out my gear. I'm all decked out. I love it. This is actually, excuse me, my burp. This is actually a pretty cool video. I'm digging the hands-free, so you don't get the shaky camera. I'm digging the gear all decked out. Oh, I'll show you my bow real quick. I always love to customize things, so I put a standard capacity magazine on there as my stabilizer. I did that because now I can set the bow down, and this thing keeps it from tilting over and from falling over. So this is actually a stand for my bow. It is what's the word? I'm incapacitated. So the follower doesn't move anymore. It's all glued in. It's all hot glued. Ooh, I think I just broke some of the hot glue. So that's my front stabilizer. Rear stabilizer is the one that came with the bow. The front of the stabilizer, of this stabilizer that's supposed to be on here, I put this into just a piece of copper. It's 3/8 copper, stainless steel bolt, and a plastic standoff to keep it because that's just the diameter of the bolt, or the length of the bolt that I had. I put a piece of rubber into here, and I just screwed this thing in. So that's how that's on there. What all that does is it just adds to the weight of the bow, and it puts the weight where I want it, somewhat where I want it, so that as I'm at full draw, I'm a little more stable. And then the pins that I'm telling you about, they don't float all over the target. Yeah, archery is just so much fun. I love this stuff. Cool community too. All right, I'm gonna kill it there. We're almost at 16 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff, because it really does help the algorithm, and that's how I got my start. You gotta be consistent doing it though. Yeah, invest accordingly.